You ever just pause, amidst all the daily grind, the tasks, the deadlines, and wonder, what's it all really about? Is there a bigger direction?
That's such a core human question, isn't it? That pull towards wanting to know, why are we here? What's our actual purpose?
Exactly. And that's what we're getting into in this deep dive. We're looking at a really interesting source today. It's called God's Purpose for Men, a biblical theology of purpose, calling, and kingdom responsibility. It's by Brother Donato S. Powell, Sr.
Yeah, and it's important to note, this isn't like a five-step guide to finding purpose tomorrow.
Right.
It's more of a deep theological look, grounded in the Bible, trying to unpack these ideas of significance, calling, responsibility, specifically from that faith perspective.
So think of this as us digging through that framework, pulling out the key things for you. If you've ever felt that kind of nudge, that there's something more, or maybe you just want a bit more clarity on some of these foundational ideas about purpose, well, stick around.
We're aiming to break down the core concepts from the book, give you some frameworks to chew on, but, keep it accessible, not too bogged down in academic jargon.
Okay, so the book starts big, universal purpose, the why, and the first thing it hits on is glorifying God. Now, that might sound purely churchy to some, but the source brings up verses like Isaiah 43.7, created for God's glory, and 1 Corinthians 10.31, do everything for his glory. What does that actually mean in practice?
What's interesting is how the author really pushes beyond just, religious acts. He's talking about how you do your job, how you treat your family, your integrity and finances, all these everyday things. Doing them well, with a sense of responsibility, with excellence, that itself can be seen as reflecting something bigger. It's about living in a way that points beyond just yourself.
Right, so it's the intention and the quality behind the everyday stuff that makes it feel more concrete. Okay, next piece. Reflecting God's image. Genesis 1.26:27. Let us make man in our image. Ephesians 4.24. Putting on the new self, created to be like God. What exactly are we supposed to be reflecting?
The source really focuses on the capacities we're given because we're made in that image. Things like reason, creativity, love, the ability to care for things, stewardship, basically.
So like our inherent abilities.
Exactly. Think about when you solve a tricky problem or you create something or show genuine compassion. According to the text, in those moments, you're using these capacities that reflect God's own character. It's about actively using these gifts constructively.
Gotcha. So less about being a perfect mirror, more about using our abilities for good.
Okay.
That ties into the next point, working and stewarding creation. Genesis 2.15, tending the garden. Colossians 3.23, working heartily as for the Lord. This shifts the view of work quite a bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The author argues work isn't like a punishment or just a necessity. It's presented as a core part of our purpose right from the beginning.
Yeah.
It means actively cultivating, not just maintaining, but cultivating our talents, protecting what we're entrusted with. That could be family, skills, community resources.
Okay.
And looking for ways to make them flourish, to multiply them for the benefit of others. It's a proactive thing.
Taking ownership, being responsible. Then there's leading and serving in love. Ephesians 5.25, husbands loving wives. 1 Corinthians 16.33-14, act like men, do everything in love. What kind of leadership is being described here? It doesn't sound like the typical boss mentality.
No, not at all.
Ugh.
The book is quite specific. It frames this kind of leadership directly on the model of Christ. So think servant leadership.
Sacrificial.
Yes, sacrificial, protective, guiding with wisdom, but also humility. It's explicitly not about dominance or control. It's about prioritizing others, building them up, rooted in love.
That's a powerful contrast to a lot of what we see. Okay, next point feels central. Relationship with God through Christ. John 17.3, eternal life is knowing God. Micah 6.8, act justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God. This seems like the foundation for everything else.
Precisely. The author really emphasizes this. It's not just another item on the list. It's the core from which everything else flows.
Right.
This personal connection, this walk, characterized by justice, mercy, humility, it's what shapes your perspective and actions in all those other areas we just talked about.
Right.
It transforms how you approach work, relationships, leadership.
And the final piece of this universal purpose puzzle, making disciples. Matthew 28, the Great Commission. See Timothy 2.2, entrusting teachings to others.
Right.
So our purpose isn't just internal, it involves others.
Exactly. It's presented as a call to multiplication, in a sense.
Yeah.
Sharing what you believe, helping others grow in their own understanding and faith.
How does that look practically?
Oh, it could be direct mentoring, teaching, or simply living your life in a way that serves as a positive example. It's about investing in others and contributing to something that lasts beyond you.
Okay, so that paints the picture of the universal why. But, we're all different. How does this big, broad purpose become something specific for me or for you listening? The book moves into personal calling, right? The how.
Yes, exactly. It bridges from the universal to the individual. And the first element is unique gifting.
Ah, like talents.
Talents, skills, spiritual gifts, natural abilities. Romans 12.6 talks about having different gifts. The source stresses that everyone gets a unique toolkit, so to speak.
Example?
Well, the book gives examples like teaching, maybe craftsmanship, administration, leadership. It's a wide spectrum. One person connects through words, another through building things, another through organizing people. We all get different pieces.
Recognizing we all have something valuable to offer. Then it talks about unique assignments and seasons. Ecclesiastes 3.1, to everything there is a season. So purpose isn't static.
Right. The way you live out your purpose will likely shift depending on your life stage. Single, married, parent, student, retired. Your roles change, your context changes.
So a student's assignment might be sharing their faith on campus, while a father's might be raising his kids in a certain way.
Exactly. The core purpose remains, but the practical expression, the specific assignment, adapts to the season you're in. It removes that pressure to find the one thing you do forever.
That's helpful. Then there's unique calling. Ephesians 2.0, we are his workmanship, created for good works, which God prepared beforehand.
That sounds very intentional, individualized.
It does. The idea here is that beyond our general purpose and seasonal assignments, there might be specific contributions, these good works, that you, specifically, are uniquely suited and prepared to do.
Like historical figures.
Yeah, the book uses examples like Joseph in Egypt, leadership in crisis, David kingship, worship, Paul apostle, writer. Each had a very distinct calling, a specific path, a tailor-made opportunity for impact. Okay, this next one is interesting. Unique story and struggles. Genesis 50.2n, Joseph again. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. How do difficult experiences fit in?
This is quite profound, I think. The source suggests that our past, including the really hard stuff, pain, mistakes, challenges, isn't wasted. It can actually become part of our purpose.
How so?
Well, someone who's walked through addiction and found recovery might be uniquely equipped to help others on that same path. A veteran might connect with struggling youth in a way others can't. Our wounds can become sources of empathy and effectiveness.
Finding redemptive value in hardship. Wow. Okay, and the last piece of personal calling. Our unique sphere of influence. Acts 17, God determining times and places. So where we are matters. It's not accidental.
That's the perspective offered, yes. We're
Okay.
intentionally placed in our families, neighborhoods, workplaces, online communities, wherever we are.
So purpose isn't always some grand mission far away.
Often, it starts right where you are, influencing the people in contexts immediately around you. That's your primary sphere, recognizing the impact you can have there.
Okay, so putting it all together, the book uses an analogy I liked. God writes the symphony, that's the universal purpose.
Right, the overall structure, the main themes.
But each man plays his own instrument, his own specific part. That's the individual calling.
Exactly. It's how the universal principles get fleshed out uniquely through each person's gifts, experiences, and placement. Same music, different instruments, different solos.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, if someone listening is thinking, okay, I want to explore this for myself, the source has this personal calling discovery worksheet. What kinds of things does it ask you to think about?
It kind of guides you through both sides. First, the universal purpose questions. Things like, how am I currently living out these core values like glorifying God, reflecting his character in my day-to-day?
Okay, practical reflection.
Yeah, and where are my opportunities to serve or lead with love right now? How's my relationship with God? Who am I actually influencing? It prompts that kind of self-assessment against the big picture.
Good starting points. What about the other side, the unique personal stuff?
That part gets you thinking about you. What am I naturally good at? What skills have I actually learned and developed? What major life experiences, good and bad, have really shaped me?
Uh-huh.
And then what issues or needs really stir something in me? What am I passionate about? And finally, looking at my current roles and where I am right now, where can I best make a difference? It's a holistic inventory, really.
Sounds like a solid process for connecting those universal ideas to your specific life. And this reflection is meant to lead towards writing a personal calling statement. What's the goal there?
The statement is basically about trying to articulate a potential direction based on those reflections. It gives you focus. The template suggested is something like, I believe God is calling me to glorify him by doing this specific action or mission, using my gifts in this area or skill to serve and impact this group or sphere while reflecting Christ in these personal qualities.
Can you give that example again?
Sure, the book gives one like, calling me to glorify him by mentoring young men, using my gifts in leadership and teaching, to serve and impact future fathers and husbands by building godly character while reflecting Christ in humility and love.
Okay, so it pulls together the what, the how, the who, and the character aspects. It translates the internal thinking into a clearer, actionable direction. All right, as we wrap up this deep dive on God's purpose for men, what are the main takeaways you hope listeners grasp?
I think the biggest thing is that purpose from this biblical view is layered. It's not just one thing. There are these foundational universal truths about our connection to God, our responsibility to creation, how we treat others.
The symphony.
Right. But then there's the deeply personal layer, how you uniquely live that out. That's shaped by your specific gifts, your story, your struggles, your current place in the world. It's both big picture and intensely personal.
The instrument and the part you play. Got it. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on after this. Thinking about all these different facets, the universal purpose, the unique calling, your gifts, your story, where you are right now, what's one aspect that particularly resonates with you today? Just one thing that stands out. And maybe what's one small, concrete step you could take this week, perhaps, to explore that specific aspect a little further in your own life? It's really about understanding how that big symphony and your personal instrument work together.
Yeah, maybe even just revisiting some of those worksheet questions we talk about. That alone could be a powerful next step on your own journey of discovery.